Hello and welcome back to the StoneburnerBooks YouTube channel. Today I am going to show you how to make this take on a spider book. A spider book is a real bookbinding structure. These here are ones that I have adapted for a workshop I'm doing, and they don't have a hard cover. I will put more information about the traditional binding of spider books down in the description below, but I wanted to show you how to make these fun little books that look like spiders for spooky season. So these are my two examples. You will see that this top page has kind of a webbed paper to it, a web design to it. The back side is paper. This is a cardstock. And then the other ones underneath are also cardstock, but they're a little bit lighter weight because this one has that fiber over it. It's probably some sort of polyester onto the paper, but I thought that one was a nice little touch to add some texture to the book. So it's a pretty simple structure, even though it looks a little bit different and perhaps difficult to make, but it's really a lot of folding. There is no glue in this one, and then there's just one small sewing stitch here. So before we get started, I just kind of want to show you the main design of this book. Kind of the main feature is that your pages are separated by quite a bit of thickness there, and this structure was designed with that in mind so that you could add photographs or scrapbooking materials. You could add more stuff to the actual pages. I just like it because I think it's so sculptural, and I really enjoy that aspect of it. So when I first made these books, I did them all out of this webbed black paper. I've done this workshop a couple times now, but for this one coming up, I wanted to revamp it a little bit and make it so that there was just a little bit more color, a little bit more movement, and that the inside pages were easier for the kids to write their stories on, because this is just there is a slight texture to this material too, but it is just a flat paper for the most part. So it'll take, you know, pens, pencils, crayons a little bit more easily. So you can see right here, this is the stitch that we're going to get into, and then that's kind of what it looks like. So I will take you through the whole process. All of the materials and dimensions of everything that you need are going to be down in the description below. Like I said, I use this webbed paper. This is a 12 by 12 piece of scrapbooking paper that I cut down. And that's what I've started with for everything. Then I have that as kind of my outside cover, even though, like I said, this does not have a hard cover. The typical spider book is going to have this structure, but then it would be glued into a hard cover. So I'm calling this black paper material as my cover, but it's not really truly what a spider book with a cover would look like. So I have that, and then I have 3 different colors of just regular cover weight cardstock. So these all 4 of these pieces are 12 inches wide by 4 inches high, and they're all grain short because we have to fold a lot of folds in all of these papers. We want our grain going along with our fold. So 12 inches by 4 with grain short. And then you're going to need one other piece of material, and that is going to be an 8-inch by 4-inch piece, and that is for this little triangle at the top. So again, this one 8 inches by 4 inches, and that's gonna have the grain short as well. And you can see how I've already folded it a little bit. So let's get into this. I'm gonna start with my cover, and I'm gonna bring out my smaller mat here just for ease of showing you all the measurements here. And so what I do is I've lined it up and I know that this is 12 inches wide, so I am going to make a fold line in at 6 inches. Now I want to make this first fold with the outside, the part that I want to see, facing up so I can see it. I'm using a bone folder and a metal blade. A metal ruler. And I am setting my ruler just slightly off from that 6-inch line because this is going to have a little bit of thickness, and I want to make sure that my score line is right there on the 6. So I'm just scoring it, and then before I move my ruler, I'm going to just take this piece and gently fold it up with my hand, and then I always close it up and give it another fold. Now you'll notice I've switched to my Teflon folder. I like the difference between the bone folder and the Teflon folder. I think that the bone folder makes a sharper, crisper line for folding, but I think that the Teflon folder does a better job of not making marks on your actual material. So I think that I use them for most of the time. I'm using the Teflon folder, but if I want a really nice score line, I go with the bone folder. If you have preferences, let me know what yours are in the comments below. But you can see I've got now a mountain fold here, and I flipped it over because we're going to make basically an M. And with my outside piece, I want that to be, let's take a look at this. I want that to be my biggest M. So that means I'm going to take this score line that we made. I'm going to line it up with the edge over here at 0, and then I am coming out for 1.5 inches, and I'm going to make another score line. Again, you need to make sure that you're making these next 2 folds on the opposite side of the paper that you made your first fold on. And again, I'm just taking my hand and folding that up against the ruler before I move everything. And again, just kind of folding that down so you can see that you've got it like that so far. So then I'm just flipping it around, again lining up that first fold line that we did with the 0 mark, and then lining up my ruler just shy of 1.5 inches, making another score and pulling it back. And especially with this material, this is a very thick paper, so it's really helpful to do that kind of initial fold to kind of get it going in the right direction. Okay, so I've got my first V, and I usually just set this aside and then I'll stack my next ones in there. And I have 3 different colors of paper. You could do all the same colors. You could do whatever you want. You could do patterned papers, but I want my next one to be, the next one coming away from the dark black to be this darker kind of coral color. So I'm going to follow the same steps as I did before, where I am lining up my paper with 0, and then with the textured side up, I am making my first fold in the middle of that paper. Then I'm folding it over, and the last one we did was 1.5 inches away. This time we are going to back that up to 1.25 inches. So 1.25 inches out from that center fold, we're going to make our score line for this. Now, if you were making a real spider book and you wanted all of your pages to be exactly the same length, you would have different paper lengths and widths. But because I want mine to be more sculptural and look more like a spider, I like that all the ends are slightly different, which is why I have the same width paper, and my folds are going to change. I'll show you what I mean as soon as I'm done with this one. So you can see as I nestle that one in there, it's already starting to peek out from there. If I were doing a book, like if I were making a photo album with this structure, I would want my pages, my outer pages, to be progressively longer than the inner pages so that they all end being the same height, not stacked kind of how these other ones are. Okay, so for the outer piece, you're doing 1.5 inches. The next one down, you're doing 1.25 inches. And then for our next piece, we're doing 1 inch from the center fold. You're always going to make that first center fold line. And then the distance to the next folds is what's going to change with each layer. You can choose to make it less than 1/4 inch. I just like that size, just again for the look of it. These were really not meant to have a huge function as a book. They are meant to be, you know, they are going to be books. The kids will be writing stories in these, but they are really meant for their look versus a true function. If I was doing a photograph album, I might not make it 1/4 inch. I might want to have more pages in there and have it be 1/8 inch between pages or something like that. It's a little bit thinner. Okay. So again, I'm just following the same method every time, but now you can see that that's getting progressively a little bit smaller. All right, and so then we're going to do our last piece, and that is going to be 3/4 inch from the center fold. And again, this is the textured side up. That's the side that I want to have facing out. And if you're working with yours that's not, and it's not textured, it looks the same on both sides, then it's not really that big of a deal. But if you are working with something that has a texture to it, then you need to kind of make sure that you've got it started in the right direction and stay consistent with each page that you're folding. Okay, so that is our last one here. Okay, so we have all of our pages prepped and ready, and you can see they're all nestled there. And I did make mine 4 inches across because this is going to be a book page and I wanted the kids to have enough room to write on there. If you're making something more sculptural, it doesn't need to necessarily be that wide, but I liked the proportions of this one. Okay, so then I've got all my legs, so to speak. Like I said, I've already folded this one. But again, this is 8 inches by 4 inches, grain short, and I made all of my folds on the inside non-webbed part, and they are just at 2-inch increments, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sew this together with the page, with the legs, and then I'm going to fold it like that to make the triangle. So you need 4 2-inch pieces so that you can have an overlap here. So the next part is to just nestle everything together. You want that, the body part opened up and then the legs coming out that way. And for this one, because it's the sewing part is not really going to be seen so much, I just eyeball where the holes need to go, and I'm just going to do a pamphlet stitch in here. If you are interested in learning the pamphlet stitch, I will link to the video I have on that down in the description, but it's a very simple stitch and you just need 3 holes. So I'm just punching a center hole, and then I'm going about, that's about 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch from the edge, and then I want to make another little hole on the other side, about 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch from the edge. Okay, so I have all of that, and I already have my thread This is waxed linen thread. I already have my needle threaded. This is 10 inches of thread. So if you're using these proportions that I am using, 10 inches of thread is perfect for you. It gives you a little bit of extra. You're going to start on the inside here and go through the middle hole, leaving a tail. Then you go from the inside here and come through this hole. Then you go down to your other. Okay. At this point, I like to tighten it up a little bit and then kind of pull this tail end to the side and pull this up so that when I put the needle back through this center part, it's coming out right where I want it to be, because you want to have each tail of the thread on either side of this long thread. So you can see the thread there in the middle is going right through either side, and I'm going to tie my knot, and that way it's going to tie that knot and secure this thread so that nothing can pull out. If somebody were pulling on this, they wouldn't be able to pull the knot through. So we're just going to do a square knot, which is right over left and then left over right. And this is waxed linen thread, so that wax will help all of that stick together. And then just trim off your ends. And even though it won't really be visible, I just try to like tuck those ends down along the waxed thread. Okay, so now we've got a book that looks like that. And the next step is going to be to close up this top part. I have been using double-sided tape. You could use PVA if you wanted to. I don't think it's necessary, and I didn't want to have to guard against all of the PVA leaking anywhere. So this is kind of a quick and easy way to close it up without a whole lot of mess. And also, if you want to do a non-adhesive binding, you can kind of skirt that with just sewing this and using double-sided tape. So this is where I use my Teflon folder, and I just kind of burnish the tape onto the paper. And then I take this flap that doesn't have tape and put the webbed side against that fold of the taped flap. And then I just close it down and eyeball it to make sure that it looks like it's, you know, the edges are pretty straight and this edge line here is pretty straight, and push the tape together. And then I use my Teflon folder to just kind of push down and help adhere that tape. And do it on both sides. Okay, so that's our finished book. I will use these little teeny clothespins and pin kind of over top of where those tape pieces are, and then I leave this overnight to just kind of help it all stick together, and hopefully that will help keep it nice and stuck together. So that is the quick version of how to make a spider bound book that's pretty sculptural and fun. So if you make these for the holiday or just for fun, please let me know. I hope you enjoy this tutorial, and if you have any questions, please be sure to drop them in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Bye.